I sat through Fernanda's live on Instagram and El Mitote with René as the guest from Love is Blind Mexico. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Dose of Morning Chisme. I am so happy that you have stumbled across my video. If this is your first time joining, welcome. We talk about all things pop culture, reality TV, and celebrity news. If you end up enjoying this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos in the future. Okay, you guys, I feel like now I see Irais a little bit differently, and I feel like we've learned a few things about Fernanda that I was not expecting after watching Love is Blind Mexico. Do not get me wrong, as a reality TV girly through and through, I'm talking about 10 years under my belt, probably more. I thought, I always think that there's going to be editing on shows. I was not born yesterday, even though sometimes, actually never, I don't look younger than my age. I am 30. I definitely thought that we would get at least some of what the reality of what happened on Love is Blind with Irais, but after listening to René on El Mitote with Willy, Saul, and Chema, I'm wondering, what? Did someone have something against her? And don't get me wrong, she did do some things that I did not like that were reality. The way she treated Rocio, the way that, the whole thing happened with the girls, unnecessary, but she was made to be the villain of some sort, and I don't think that's necessarily true. Let's get into the details. So René is the guest on El Mitote, and let me tell you, none of the guys that went on Love is Blind Mexico were looking for love. This podcast solidified that thought for me because you can definitely tell none of them were going to say yes at the altar. None of them really wanted to get married except for Fernando, who actually got married. So René starts out by sharing how he got on the show. He was actually messaged on Facebook and casted by an agency, and then he got to the next Netflix portion of the casting and then got casted on the show. He did not apply. He was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go on this show. He ran it by some people because at first he thought it was a scam. He goes to the show, he starts this process to find love. René's only connection through our screens is Irais. That was not true. He had multiple connections, including a very strong connection with Silvia, which I was like, what? I would have never, thought of them together because there was no inkling of them being into each other on our screens. And of course, they don't show everything. So that's, reality. But I was like, wait, what? Never would I thought that these two would have made a cute couple. But now I'm like, wait. It would have been a good match. I'm kind of seeing it. But anyway, so him, he had a connection with multiple other people, Leti, Silvia, and Andy, who we don't get really to see on our screens. And Irais obviously had multiple connections that we saw on our screens. Another thing that I found interesting is that René says that he did not spend any day not talking to Irais. They talked the entire time during the pods, which I was like, wait. So Irais, from what we saw on our screens, it looks like he was always the second choice to Fernando. But in reality, they had been talking the entire time, just like her and Fernando, until obviously they cut things off and she's fully in with René. And of course, she probably did, like Fernando more. But I think her connection with René was much stronger than we saw on our screens, which I think is crazy because we saw that part where she was like, oh, I haven't seen you in a few days. And he says that was when she saw somebody else. That had nothing to do with him. It was never with him because they saw each other every single day. So when it came to the reveal, they did the reveal and she had told him that if you're going to kiss me passionately, not in a horny way. And he did kiss her romantically. They just didn't show it. But she did, have a shocked face because he did look somewhat like her ex who was very violent to her. So that was true. They end up, not finding a connection in each other on the show. But in reality, the reason they didn't go to Tulum is because they had a certain budget and they could only take a few couples and they didn't make the cut. But to us, she was low-key not down for him. She was not, I don't like this dude. But in reality, they were down to continue to get to know each other. So they were told, hey, you're not going to Tulum. René and Irais asked production, hey, can I have his details or whatever to contact him and her? And they said no, we can't give you the details. Then Irais goes and finds René on Instagram. They meet up before he takes a flight out to go home and spend the whole week together, decide to continue being together and just without the cameras. Then they're spending time together, planning the future, trying to figure out who's going to go visit who, blah, blah, blah. Ring, ring, ring. Netflix is calling and they're like, hey, we heard that you guys are still together. Do y'all want to come back to the show? And I'm like, you brought her back to the show only to make her look horrendous as fuck. So they bring them back. And, you know, as we saw on our screens, it made it look like they were just reconnecting for the first time when they were sitting down to eat. But they had been together already. They were planning on, you know, seeing each other. She was going to go visit him. He was going to go visit her. All that. Just continue their relationship as they were, like, you know, a normal couple. They come back to the show, you know, they continue the experiment. They obviously have to get married to continue on the show. And, you know, they go and meet his family. His family, you know, didn't know that he was on Love is Blind. They come with cameras. His family wasn't only there, like his extended family was all there. And it was very tense on camera. And it was like a tense moment because obviously they're finding out that's his girlfriend. Actually, no, that's his fiance and he's getting married in 2 weeks. That's a lot to process. And his sisters were obviously, you know, they had their thoughts and opinions. And he did say that his sisters are the jealous type and have been the jealous type with other women in the past. But after the cameras went down, you know, they partied, they had a good time, and no big deal. I was like, damn. So this whole time, it wasn't because they didn't want to go to Tulum. It was because Netflix budgeted to have only a certain amount of couples go to Tulum. Not because you guys didn't find a connection. And then they wouldn't give each other, I guess they wouldn't give them each other's details. They found each other and they continued. They were going to continue to date regardless if they were on the show, production calls, and they continued to be on the experiment, blah, blah, blah. But they were not planning on being on the show anymore. So they were together without cameras or any kind of show, which I found, I don't know, I feel like they made her look like a shitty person when she really wasn't. She made mistakes, of course, don't get me wrong. There were some things that I did not agree with, but damn. Because I was like, she only took him back to be on the show. She only wanted another chance with him because she wanted to be on the show, when in reality, they were already together when they came back. So like, it's crazy what TV editing will do. And I mean, I shouldn't be this shocked because I've been watching for years, but like, damn, you know, that's a whole different, like, we saw one thing and usually it'll be edited like, I would say like 20 to 30%, but this is like a whole 70 to 80%. And, you know, it makes me wonder, like, is his NDA up? Because he was spilling all of the tea on this podcast. And, you know, I also found it interesting that Silvia was one of his top choices because, like, we did not see anything of them or him and Leti as well. They had a connection, but I don't know, I thought it was interesting and I wanted to share with you guys. Does that change your perception of Irais? I will say at the reunion, I felt like she was getting grilled more than anyone else. And I was like, okay, lay off Irais. Like, fine. She fucked up a few times. So like, why are we making this entire reunion about bashing her? Like, I feel like we're holding her feet to the fire, but letting her burn up to the neck. You know what I mean? I feel like it was too much. Then, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I sat through Fernanda's live and then I rewatched it on Instagram. Here were the high points that she talked about. So, in episode 9 of Love is Blind Mexico season 1, we see that her and Gerardo are at the apartment after the bachelorette party, and she's, you know, going a little crazy. And by little, I mean a lot. She's yelling at him and, you know, she throws the towel on the camera and, you know, then we see her throwing around his stuff, yelling at him some more. And then the camera, you know, comes back up and he's like this. And we're all like, what the fuck? You know, like, that's not appropriate. That's not okay. And if it was reversed, you know, it would have been a different situation. We go to the reunion. It's not addressed at all. It's not even brought up once, which I found shocking in the way that they were, you know, treating Irais and not holding Fernanda accountable at all. But on Fernanda's live, and of course, she's sharing her side of the story. And please let me know what you guys think. She says that during that scene, he wasn't even home. So they were arguing. Yes, she had talked down to him. Yes, like she had yelled at him. She was obviously upset because he said he wasn't in love with her enough to marry her. He leaves and then she fucking lost her shit. And the fact that, you know, she threw the towel on the camera was because she was like, okay, well, he's gone. Why the fuck do I need to film anymore? Like, this is over. Like, he's gone. We're over. I'm throwing this on the camera because, like, no one needs to see me anymore. Like, it's done. Right? And she said she did apologize to him and that he was not home during that scene.
Ya lo estuve revisando. Ah, bueno, y otra cosa que mucha gente me ha preguntado es, güey, ¿cómo Netflix permitió abuso doméstico, abuso de tu parte y tal? Lo que pasa es que él en realidad se va del departamento y yo exploto. Por eso cuando tapo las cámaras, digo, güey, ya no tengo por qué estar generando pinche más contenido para ellos. Dije, a la chingada. Y pues por eso también tapé las cámaras. Además, güey, era un momento súper humillante, horrible.
I was like, So who were you yelling? Because like in that scene when we saw it on our screens, she was yelling at someone. So I was like curious, like, was she just yelling in general? Was she yelling at him? Like it was kind of confusing. But she did say, like, do y'all really think that Netflix would have let something like that air if it was what you guys are thinking? And, you know, she did share her piece. I wonder how true that is. I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments, of course. And then she also shared, which I thought was very interesting, because during the reunion, the host kept saying, like, where's Fernanda? ¿Dónde está Fernanda, Gerardo? He kept going to Gerardo and asking him where Fernanda was, while Fernanda was there the whole fucking time. Like, Fernanda was in the building since the very beginning. She arrived with everybody, and they didn't let her go on stage until the very end, kind of making it seem like she was trying to skip out on the reunion, and they were like, last minute she showed up to like have a conversation, which was not true. She said that she was there the entire time. And then another thing that she answered was her situation with Silvia. She said that she didn't go into too much detail, but she did say that her and Silvia during the pods had very similar matches, had the same matches. So it was like just like not vibes. And then when they got out of that situation, the pods, and they were with their couples, Chema told Gerardo something that Silvia said about Fernanda, and she was like, you know what, I'm not gonna go. Like, I'm not gonna go where I'm not wanted. But she didn't give too much details on what happened with her and Silvia.
Ahí como, o sea, desde los pods ahí hubieron, a ver, teníamos los mismos matches y ahí como que cuando se enteró ya no estuvo tan chida la relación. Al final pues, se quedó con Chema, todo chido, y luego Gerardo me cuenta que Chema le cuenta que andaba diciendo pues, cosas que no eran ciertas, ¿no? Y también puse ese audio. Entonces, no, o sea, es una huelga pacífica, no estar donde uno no eres bienvenido, no eres apreciado.
Now, those were the high points. I will say, though, I thought that this part was kind of messed up, because we should not, I don't know, I guess signal or call anyone out, or she tried to make it sound in her live. Somebody asked her in the comment section, like, do you think Gerardo is gay? And she was like, I don't know. I feel like that was like, she should have skipped over that question. That was not necessary. Like, if he is, if he isn't, I feel like it wasn't her place to say. But I will say, after these two instances that I have, you know, seen where they have, René has shared his side of Irais and Fernanda has also shared her side of things, it does make me think that the guys were all there for clout or to be on camera. But that does not excuse the way that Fernanda talked to Gerardo, and it does make me curious to see what you guys think of this. Does this change your mind about Irais and Fernanda? For me personally, I still don't like a lot of the actions that Fernanda took during the show. I feel like they were inappropriate, and I definitely see Irais a little bit differently, especially because they continued dating. The whole point of them, you know, getting engaged was to go to Tulum with the other couples and get to know each other. They just did that without cameras. But definitely curious to see what you guys have to say. I personally want to see a Love is Blind Mexico season 2. They cast a more diverse cast. Like, that's definitely what I want to see. What did you guys think? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. And do you guys think that the guys went on the show for clout? I want to know all your thoughts down below. And until next time, bye guys.